Hello, heroes! Thank you for tuning in to episode number 21 of the Nexus podcast. This week we have a huge number of hosts, so we're going to just get right into it. I'm your host, Adam Eastwood, and we have our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hi, everybody. Hope to be inclusive of all religious denominations, I hope everybody's having a good, great, and fantastic Friday.
We have pretty much back from the dead MMO vet and MOBA top lane support Xantar.
I have, and to celebrate this holiday season, I too have risen from darker depths, and my God, it's good to be back. I've seriously missed being on the show, so I'm excited to talk to everyone. On a related note to the weekend, it was brought to my attention this week that Easter is on 420.
Yeah.
So I have put forth a task to everyone this weekend to hashtag on Twitter 420 pray it.
Okay. We have the lifestyle geek Joshua Williams.
Hey everybody, I'm ecstatic to be back. It's been 2 weeks and I've missed you guys. Hopefully you're doing well.
And last but not least, Blizzard and esport enthusiast Ben Blazik.
Hey everyone, good to be back again for another episode, and I hope everyone's enjoying their Friday night.
Oh, for sure. It's always great coming on and chatting about the Nexus with the rest of you guys. Let's go ahead and kind of do a quick little This Week in Game, and we'll start with David. What have you been up to in terms of games?
Honestly, I'm a little upset that you were the one that went to the convention and I got the con crud. I've been pretty sick the entire week, so really haven't even had a chance to raid or anything like that. I'm up to level 6 after the wipe. So I've been able to get some heroes in, but really have been more or less just taking it easy.
Sounds good. Josh, what have you been doing?
I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone on the iPad. Most of my free time went to that, and I totally forgot about the wipe and everything for Heroes until today because I've been so busy, and I've played that all day. And other than that, just Diablo when I can, so anything Blizzard basically.
Anything Blizzard.
Yep.
Xantar, what have you kind of been up in the kind of the long run of you not being here?
The devout void of my life. Man, I don't even know. Diablo's been eating my soul. That game, they fixed it, and man, did they ever fix it. I have been playing that to obscene hours of the evening. I had to be up at 8 o'clock this morning, and I went to sleep at 3:30. That's been happening a lot, so my body's starting to suffer, but make do. Definitely a lot of random stuff in League. Not as much ranked as usual, so I need to get back into that. Kind of taken it back a little bit from Heroes in terms of the active playing portion of it, partly due to the fact that the wipe was coming up, and I kind of, I suppose, take a back seat whenever those things come up. I think I'll probably start to play a little bit more going into next week. I think the big thing for me is just I've figured it out at its stage it's in now. Now I need to see it get more and more refined for me to, like, I've got my fill of stage 1. Now I want to get my fill of stage 2, and and kind of see the different iterations of it that way. So we'll see. But haven't played as much Heroes as I probably should.
You're not doing your...
Not to say I don't like it any less. I still absolutely friggin' love the game.
You're not doing your prerequisite 40 hours of Heroes in order to be on the podcast?
Yeah, I suppose I should probably get off the show now.
Bye.
The one
just
time
got back.
The one time I show up, Xantar, you're gonna need to leave. That's okay. That's only 5 minutes into the episode.
That's it. You can't quit. You're fired.
Yeah. That's
Turn your badge and gun.
That's it.
And Ben, what have you been up to lately?
Actually have not been playing too many games this week. I've been watching a ton of WCS, GSL, and I've been doing my prerequisite, since I don't actually have access to the alpha, of 80 hours spectating on Twitch for hero streams. Because I'm a giant nerd like that and I love esports. I've actually, since they did the patch wipe, been watching a lot more of the stream, like multi-streaming on multiple monitors, and just kind of taking as much notes as I can about Brightwing excuse me, and Lily, and just kind of what everybody's been doing. So.
Now, if you're watching 4 streams at a time for an hour, does that count as 4 hours, or is it still only 1 hour of viewing?
Because I think I'm putting so much ingenuity into it, I think it should count as 4.
I think if you were to look at work, if you had 4 employees working for an hour, it counts as 4 working hours. So,
There we go.
I'm with Ben
Santos on
this
my
one.
side. Yep. Thank
There
you.
it is.
Okay, I'll start tallying it properly then, starting from now.
That Canadian time.
This is how I can catch up. This is a good
Metric
secret.
time.
And for me, I pretty much Heroes of the Storm. I missed my raid time on Thursday, raided a little bit on Tuesday, but as soon as the wipe happened, I was straight into Heroes. I've gotten back up to I think level 9 at this point because I need to get to level 10 so I can get the hero quest going because that's where you really start pushing the levels. Mm-hmm. And really, I want my Kerrigan colors back.
I am so choked about that. Losing the colors is the worst part.
Yeah, I know for you, Tassadar, they switched his Mecha Tassadar, so yellow is the default.
The
and that's your
default
Bumblebee
was this
Tassadar, right?
BS.
Be like,
Jerks.
back in Xantar's day, you had to finish all 3 quests to get the Bumblebee
To turn
Tassadar.
into Bumblebee. We started as this blue fellow.
You know what really surprised me was like I totally forgotten that not all the talents are available when you start out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like all my entire Sergeant Hammer build and like it like relies on bribe. So I'm out there. I'm like, oh geez, I actually got to do stuff.
Like, I'm
now.
not looking forward to doing that because it's gonna suck to have like 2 choices and be like, oh, this is fantastic, I suppose. Like, once you have them, to not have them is gonna be really brutal.
It
It is.
I mean, you're looking at, like, you have about 4 options, maybe 5 options in some cases. And first thing that, my dumb self thought, I'm like, wow, they really pruned the talents down. Like,
Yeah.
they mustn't have liked them.
I totally forgot about that too until just now.
So we're going to go ahead and get right into the news. We have a bunch of news, especially with the big patch. So we're going to kind of hit the little bit of news first. It's Brightwing Week. Did you guys who are playing, did you actually get a chance to try out Brightwing?
Yes. I am loving her. I've only played 2 matches with her. I've won both matches, and I've died a total of maybe 2 times because my second time is when we started talking, so I got a little distracted, but she's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to play her a little bit kind of in PvE. So I haven't really didn't get to play. I forgot to play enough while she was free, so I didn't get a chance to really take her into Versus. But was kind of taking her, trying her out and trying out the skills. Yeah, I mean, interesting. I'm not a big support person, so it's not probably someone I'm going to be playing a lot. But I know I've played against a few teams that have like a Brightwing, Lily, Malfurion combination that were virtually impossible to kill. We could not figure out a way to kill them no matter what. So I'm not sure if that's something they need to take a look at in terms of balancing. But yeah, she looks like she's quite a bit of fun. I kind of like Lily better though.
Now, real quick, is if they had Malfurion, Brightwing, Lily, and you couldn't kill them, were they even able to kill you at all?
Yeah, eventually, because they had enough. Like basically, we would just they'd pick on one person, and there'd be enough there to basically take them down.
And those are
So-
the most frustrating types of people to fight against in MOBAs ever. Like, it makes my blood boil fighting against people like that. It's so frustrating.
Plus, I know that the Lily person isn't even really doing much. Like it's because it's all smart healing anyway. So it was just like it was driving me absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, that's something I noticed about Brightwing though. Like her attacks, like her AOE thing that she shoots to an area and it explodes in AOEs, that's actually kind of strong. I killed a Nova that was looked like she was like at 15%, and I hit it and she died. It seems pretty strong for her being a healer type character.
I can see it being a big pain with Malfurion because Malfurion holds you in place, and then that thing just gets lobbed right at you. Ben,
That wombo combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, from a kind of a spectator's perspective, what do you think of Brightwing?
The kit on that champion is ridiculous. As David said, I noticed just from everything I was watching, there was a lot of Malfurion and Brightwing combinations. They might not necessarily be in the same lane, but when you get the 5 together for team fights and you're pushing positions, they're there. Almost every match had a Brightwing in it. And if the other team, for whatever reason, did not have a Brightwing on it, and you get like into a 5-5 team fight, like the one team, you watch them kind of back up and the other team's chasing them, they go to almost no health, and then all of a sudden Brightwing and Malfurion, boom, they're right, boost the whole team back to full health, and they get right back into it. So it's almost like it's 2 team fights in one, and they just push right for the objective, and it's done. Absolutely ridiculous. And even, Josh was saying, for being a support champion, she's a little strong. I'm not gonna lie. She can definitely deal some damage when she needs to. And of course, I'm gonna touch on everybody now. Xantar, it is exactly a wombo combo. A couple different matches. Malfurion's one of them, and there's a couple others. They combo really nicely together, and they are almost unkillable. You have to basically focus 4 people on Brightwing at one time and nuke her down insanely fast, then to move on to the rest of the team. Otherwise, they're just going to come back and beat you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've only played her maybe once or twice over the past couple days, and she's a lot of fun, especially once you get the her heroic ability where she can just teleport real quick. Like, you get a heal, you get a heal, you get a heal, and it's just like popping back and forth. It's actually a lot. The playstyle is a lot faster than I was expecting from Brightwing. Like, as a healer, a lot of times you get more the kind of sit back and watch and heal where needed. Where because you have the AoE heal, or not, is it that hits, every, 5 seconds?
Yeah.
It ends up being pretty quick, jumping around and getting stuff done. And the fact that you can pretty much teleport every, 30 seconds anywhere on the map where you have an ally.
It's 20, I think.
Or 20.
I thought.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
It's nutty because you can just, I was playing with an Abathur when I was playing Brightwing, and like I think either like an Arthas or Diablo, like a warrior type, and the warrior would go into something, and then me and Abathur would just like jump on him, and then all of a sudden it would be 3 of us out of nowhere, and it was kind of crazy how quick we could like get almost a full team in one spot.
I have a feeling I'm really gonna like playing her.
She's fun.
Her kid is all that in a bag of potato chips, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can already see my MOBA mind working and tweaking of things it can work with and be really, really frustrating to be against with. So it's gonna be fun, I think. I'll have to update and try her out.
You something I learned in my last match though. The other team had her. He did not know what to do with her though. It's something that you really have to read the spells and learn how to use them, and just like any other character. But she isn't. To me, I felt like I picked her up really well, but seeing that other player play her, he had no idea what to do with her. It seemed because
Might be a high skill cap kind of champ.
Yeah, it's like the difficulty when you scroll over her, it says hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being kind of that's the Lily's the other side of that, right?
Yeah, she's
very
easy.
low skill cap support, so that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really cool how they put out 2 supports, but they were the 2 ends of the spectrum. One is kind of like the easy, gameplay's not so difficult, especially with the smart heals, and the other one that is the more difficult. I liked how they kind of made sure to get both that type out there at the same time.
Does it feel to you guys like they're really pushing that type in this game? Because since they're releasing 2 of them at the same time, because they have the support classes in other MOBAs, but since this one doesn't rely on last hit to level up and stuff like that, and getting gold to buy items, do you think they're really emphasizing that type of play style and class in this type of game, since you don't have to be front lines getting the attacks and hitting last?
I think so. I think they have to glam it up. I mean, as someone who mains support in other games, it's not a glorious role. We get no love, most of the time, and even though some of the biggest plays can come from a support player, but I think they kind of have to jazz it up and make it really kind of glamorous looking. Definitely, I think you'll see a lot more people trying it because, like you say, some of the changes of just heroes in general and what that playstyle is like. But I think putting a lot of resources into having characters that at least have the option to build into a support, like Tassadar that can go mage or support. I think is going to be good for overall health of the team or of the game, because otherwise you're going to get nobody that does it. And when this game is much easier to not have support players. Like you could get away with a composition that has no supports. And with that being possible, if you don't make it attractive, you're just never going to have anyone play support champions.
True.
Yeah, and I think too, because of who they're trying to bring in, they're trying to capture a lot of the MMO, the inherent audience in WoW, and there's a huge amount of people who play heals in WoW, so they need to have something for them. Like they may not want to all of a sudden switch their play style, so they do have to entice them as well.
See, for me, I think the reason they brought in the 2 supports is because in terms of total heroes in each role, support and specialists were kind of lacking. So I think before this patch, you were looking at 8 assassins, 7 warriors, and 4 supports, 4 specialists. With this, it bumps the number of support characters, just options, up to 6. And with Zagara and Murky being the next 2 heroes that theoretically we're going to see, I believe they're both specialists as well. So it kind of evens out the numbers between the different roles. I think once the roles are kind of even and we have, say, 7 of each, then you're just going to see them start coming out, I think, one at a time to fit different roles.
And to piggyback off of that as well, so we know that these 4 champions right now, they're more support and they're specialists, and then the hinting champions that they showed at PAX, Kael'thas, Sylvanas, Chen, those look more offensive. So it kind of almost and this is just my opinion for right now, kind of feels like it's going to be a wave-based kind of thing. Hey, we're going to push, as Adam said, a lot of supports right now, and then we're going to release a bunch more offensive, and then we're going to kind of stagger it.
It might be a good way for them to kind of design, because if they're making several characters of a certain type at once, maybe they come up with a really cool ability that doesn't quite fit a certain character. Well, maybe they can take that ability and incorporate it with the other guy right at the same time, and they're still being very, very productive in their champion output.
Now, before we kind of move into straight patch talk, like you'd mentioned, we're going to see Chen, who I assume is going to be a warrior. He's going to be like a brewmaster. We're going to see Sylvanas, who assassin. I think we're kind of saying that. But Kael'thas is where do you guys think he's going to fall? I mean, he could definitely fall like assassin mage type feel, but you could also, because he's a mage, he could be support. He might even be specialist. Where would you like to see him fall?
Calling a hybrid between arcane mage assassin, and specialist. And it just fits his lore. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I that's the only thing I can really see him playing in.
I selfishly want to see mage support. I want to see everyone be like my Tassadar.
I wish it could be kind of like
he's probably an assassin. Is where I'm going to see it, like kind of him, especially kind of like with the fiery. From what I've seen, the fiery abilities. I think he'd easier hit you in the face assassin mage.
Yeah, because he's like a fire mage too. So
I feel like mages are the hardest to really put into a specific type in Heroes of Storm, just because none of them sound magey. Assassin, warrior, support, specialist. None of those actually have like a magey title, So it's going to be interesting to see where like him and Jaina, Ronin, Kagdar, where they all kind of get thrown into the mix.
I want an arcane mage where you just hit Q over and over again.
No, you need 2 buttons, Q and W, and the rest are going to be passives.
That's it.
Yeah.
You have like the passive, I win.
I'm just going to go home. Oh, I'm already home.
They have their
Now what?
AFK button. You just have to hit that, go AFK, and you just.
And that's the beauty about having one of these bad boys. I can play my entire rotation with one hand.
Yeah,
face roll.
I got one of them too.
So we're gonna kind of really go into the patch notes now. We've already hit on the 2 new champions, so we're gonna kind of graze that over now. Some of the kind of the basic stuff is that we're going to see a majority of daily and hero quest requirements are being reworked. I was really hoping to get to the hero quest requirements before today, just to kind of talk about them. Unfortunately, I didn't. But for the daily quest, I did notice that a lot more of them, unless it's just the ones that I'm getting, are play as this type of character rather than win. Have you guys noticed that at all? Have you guys gotten to your daily quests?
I haven't unlocked them yet.
I just unlocked them about 10
Character
minutes
wipes, OP.
ago.
Yeah.
Blizzard, please nerf wipes.
Ben, have you seen anybody kind of doing their dailies as you're watching?
A little bit. It depends on who you're watching. Like if you're, watching Idra, and his stacks of 5, they're just trying out different compositions, and seeing what works on different maps. Some of the other people who are starting to get into it, like Nomanis. Nomanis is a WoW streamer. Most of the time, he does WoW gold farming and raiding as a druid, and now he's kind of playing more heroes as well. So he's kind of dabbling back and forth in all of it and learning all of it. But it really, really depends on who you're watching. It's a mixed bag.
And kind of I think is what's been more controversial than most things in the patch. It kind of goes with the quest is the fact that now 1.2 million combined XP per day cap for custom practice and co-op modes, as well as you have to be in versus mode in order to complete quests.
Mm-hmm.
Ben. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Ben. I was going to say somebody else's name. Ben. I'll go with Josh. Sorry, Ben. Josh,
right.
what are your thoughts on that? I know some people like it, some people don't.
I think it's great. I was listening to another Heroes podcast today, and they brought that up, and they brought up a good point, the fact that if you can do that in those other matches, if it didn't have an XP cap and do the quest, you could just farm in there all day against your friends, and playing the ranked games would be kind of pointless because then you can just buy every hero and have everything basically unlocked without playing ranked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think them putting caps on it is a good call.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think I've made this comparison before. When you're playing in co-op, it sort of feels, like the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals. Like I find it hard to believe it's like you can actually lose a co-op game. So to me, I'm kind of the person who tries to jump into versus even though I'm not supposed to right away. To me, that's the game. Everything else is just practice, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yep.
Ben, do you have any kind of thoughts on that as a kind of looking in?
I mean, I probably pretty much agree with Josh on it. I mean, it needs to be structured so that way you can't just breeze through it. Like in, I really don't want to make the reference to it, but in League, I mean, there are a huge number of players that only play custom games to grind up like IP and do like the daily win bonus. And just kind of like sit there and mash up against bots, and it's so hard to lose one of those games. I mean, you basically have to be not playing in order to lose. So I think that having it structured more so this way is definitely going to help, and there has to be kind of more incentive behind it.
And finally, Xantar, what are your thoughts kind of on this topic?
I'm going to take this whole show and throw it upside down up in here.
Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh.
hate this change. Like,
What?
loathe and detest. And I think they are incredibly short-sighted to do this, because this makes absolutely no sense with how they are approaching what they want out of players in this game. I use myself as an example. I'm actually someone that has played a lot of MOBAs. I actually know a lot about them, and I follow esports as well. I spend countless hours, countless dollars on MOBAs. I know what I'm doing. But I use like bot games specifically for two main reasons. One, I did them to do my daily quest, get them out of the way, so I wasn't focusing on something I wasn't good at when I was playing against people who were as good or better than me, for one, which made it more fun, because if I'm having to do something like play this I'm not good at, and I have to play it against other humans, I'm stressing out. I'm not having a good time. Like, it's so much added pressure. Two, also helps me get better at it in a lower pressure environment. If I had the whole idea of daily quests is to get you used to other types of players, get you playing champions you don't normally play. Well, if I'm doing that against players that are smashing my face in because I've never played this type of champion before, it's not going to happen. Like, I've gone through the what's considered the tried and true method of get your face pounded in the MOBA until you learn. And it doesn't work very well. You have to take time. You have to slowly grow into it. And a character like Illidan is a great example. And a few of you guys have seen my stream when I do this. When I started playing Illidan, I don't play champions like that, and I'm very bad at them. But I started just to play like my daily quest to play 10 games as him against bots. And that got me really kind of comfortable with the mechanics. Then I was comfortable going into versus games and playing against other players with that foundation kind of already set. Because with bot games, it's not about your mechanics and map awareness and things like that. It's just really getting an understanding of your abilities versus I see versus as the way you execute. So bots are kind of more theory and kind of set the stage for how you kind of get familiar with them. So in bot games, I would kind of get an idea, okay, well, Illidan does this. His dash is useful here. Oh, no, I tried this and I actually died for it. And I don't feel bad dying against bots and making mistakes. Like mistakes don't bother me there. But when I make a mistake in a versus game, even if I'm playing with friends and having fun, it bugs me. Like I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like now everybody's going to die or something. Versus like, it's a safer place to make mistakes. And you need a safe place to make mistakes for Blizzard to accomplish what they're hoping to accomplish in this game and making it different enough from other MOBAs where League is not friendly. As a League player, there is no good place to make mistakes in that game. And I think by making this change, they're removing a really, really good way for you to make mistakes.
The thing is, though, you can still go in and do that. You just won't get XP after a certain amount of time where you can't complete quests. So you can still go in and practice. So that's not getting removed from the game at all. And then once you feel comfortable in practice, then you're like, okay, well, now I can go into the versus mode and try against other players and see how well I do. And then, then you can get those rewards and stuff like that. But you can still have that practice mode there.
My worry there is again, and it's only, but I can only compare it to other MOBAs. And people don't do bot games because there's no rewards to them. Even if they're learning and they should be playing bot games, like I don't know how many countless times I've been on a Smurf account on League where people shouldn't be playing against other players yet. And I tell them, like, you should be playing against bots, not in a derogatory way, but just you're not here yet. But they play there because that's where you feel like you have to, because that's where the rewards are. And you're doing yourself sort of a disservice by playing against bots. Like it's almost wasted time, sort of, even though it's not. And we know it's not. But to your average dude, it kind of seems wasted.
But there's also two sides to that. You have that whole group of people that are going to go straight into the matches and not play the bots when they're completely not ready. It is very obvious, and I will agree with you on that. But you've also got the whole group of people that do play bot games to prepare for player interaction. So as this opens up and we get out of alpha and we get into beta and then we get into open beta and it goes full release, you're going to have both of those groups still. They're not going to be, together into one. They're still going to be separate, and you're going to find the players that are both sides of the coin. So we shouldn't be necessarily rewarding, and the whole point of the game is to bring people together, have fun, but also play other people, not just play a computer opponent all the time that you can smash into the wall 50 times a day. So we shouldn't be necessarily rewarding the lack of play because, as you said, it's not necessarily as much about mechanics and map awareness when you're playing bots. It's just about learning your heroes. So we shouldn't necessarily be rewarding you for not taking all the aspects of the game into one. When you go into the player versus player match, that's where all of it kind of comes together, and that's what we should be rewarding.
So I was going to say, I kind of sit right there in the middle, but kind of between you guys. I think that they should have quests that are specifically meant for co-op mode. So that way, say you get less gold, less XP, and then your basic hero quests can go in co-op mode. Once you get to the, what do they call them, heroic quests for your heroes?
That would make sense.
Then you need to go into Versus to get those because I'm a great example. I flew through Nova's regular quests, and then instead of doing Versus mode to get the 300 kills, her first hero quest, I went into practice mode and was farming up 40 to 50 kills per match to get that done, to get what should be a high-end unlockable by going through practice. So I think there's a balance that can be made where, maybe a quest where you need to play 2 games as a specific hero type, you can do that in co-op and completely shut off practice mode and tutorial mode from that. And then if it's a game where you have to win 2 matches, then make that a versus match, because the win should have, some kind of, difficulty to it, opposed to the play where it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're just going to, play and try out a new type that maybe you don't normally do.
I guess it just depends on how much value you place on the recolors. Like, are the recolors valuable? Then you don't want them in bot games. But I could rant all day about this, so I'll cut myself really, really short, I promise. But it didn't seem like a very Blizzard move, because Blizzard has gotten better and better over the years about whatever you want to do in our games, we'll make it worth your time. And that's kind of the fundamental here that didn't quite catch me, because they made it so you can level up in WoW by mining ore or by leveling pets. And sure, it's not great, but you can do it. And this just, I don't know, it felt like it was from a different philosophy almost, and that's where it kind of felt a little disjointed to me.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, one thing, to answer your question, to me, the recolors are really valuable, because in this game, I'm trying to do the same thing I've done in Hearthstone, which is spend $0. So for me, the recolors really is the only customization, because I know I'm not probably going to get any skins. So for me, I think it is really valuable, and I don't like the idea of someone just sort of being able to get them pretty easily in co-op. The other thing, too, I mean, maybe they're taking a look at their numbers and saying that there's like a bigger percentage of games going on in co-op than they'd like. That's something where they're pushing people to go into versus. And of course, I mean, it's also something where they may just turn around and reverse this later when we have a bigger pool of people. Right now in alpha, we may just be running into cases where, the queue times aren't where they want it. So they're trying to push people into versus.
That's a good point. Very good point there.
Yeah, it could definitely be an alpha thing. I could see that.
Now we're going to move on to kind of the next spot, and that's Battlegrounds. There's only one change to Battlegrounds during this patch. Another change to Haunted Mines, where the underground Grave Golem, so the Grave Golem that drops all those extra skulls, has increased its health per minute up from 625 to 750. It looks like they're just making it a little more difficult to kill, especially at higher levels. I think it makes sense, as in the later in the game that Grave Golem holds more skulls, so it's harder to kill. I think we can all agree that it's not a game-breaking change, but something that kind of makes it more important to kill the
I think
Grave
it's a
Golem
good
as
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm happy they did it, because if it'll make it less steamrolly, because right now, if you're ahead in the middle to late of the game and you go down there, like, you're killing that thing in like 5 seconds. Like, it doesn't even make an impact, but that extra golem that you get for having 98 of the 100 skulls, like, it's just devastating to fight again. So I think it's a really, really good move. I think it makes a lot of sense.
It also gives the team that's behind a little more time to get to the underground golem. At that point, because maybe they're not quite where they need to be.
You couldn't team fight at it before, because they'd be dead too fast. Now if I'm behind, I can say, crap, they're going to be down there. Let's rush, and let's fight them while they're doing it, and they're probably fairly low because it has more health now. And that can make for some really interesting, fun fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I would love to have them do with the golem is just have the aggro stay on permanently. Like, how basically, like, you're attacking them, and then, like, basically you walk, like, 1 foot away from the thing, and then it just kind of goes back to its spot. I would love, like, this thing just being a wild card in the middle of, a 5-on-5 team fight, just wandering around. I think that would be so much fun.
I think it does need
out.
to have the aggro increased for sure.
It makes me think of those times in Warcraft when you're fighting a boss and it's messing up, and you run out to lose aggro just to drop the boss.
Yeah. Well, you look at League, and I mean, Baron and Dragon, they aggro for like a fair amount outside of their pit, and that's a really big part of the game. Of like, if somebody's going after those objectives, and hey, go knock them out. Like, they're taking extra damage, and Baron's fighting on your side, making it even easier. So keep going.
Okay, so now let's get into the hero changes of the patch. We already talked about new heroes, the kind of the general changes between heroes. You know, we have increased movement speed, just kind of your base movement speed. Obviously, they probably didn't feel like the heroes were getting around fast enough. I mean, that's really the only reason they would change that.
True.
You know, it's what do we do when they're not getting from point A to point B fast enough? Let's move them. Xantar, you obviously are happy with this change.
Holly friggin' Luya. Oh my god, these people. Like, I thought we needed to introduce a new champion called Jenny Craig to this game because we were moving so slow. Ugh.
Yeah, they were.
Ugh. Best part of the patch. I'm calling it right here.
Whoa.
Well, I play a lot of the hammer too, so it's like that was just crawling along, and then you have like your kind of like turbo boost ability, which just brings you up to just normal speed. So it doesn't even. You've got these like big rocket things you expect to zoom off, and it's just like slightly faster.
Yeah. Now you're a Honda Civic.
Yeah, exactly. You got promoted to Honda Civic.
Yeah, stage 1 VTEC.
I'm curious how like it's a 10% increase in speed, really, once you look at it. I wonder, like, does that like take 10% off the average game match because everyone's getting somewhere that much quicker?
Good.
It could. I mean, that's might be one of their ways of trying to keep it to that. Maybe the games were lasting just a little too long. They're like, let's do a few little changes here and there.
It could be a case too, Adam, where maybe for Cursed Hollow, there were a little too many times where just someone happened to be lucky and close, and they were popping the tribute. Whereas now, because the amount of time that it takes to pop that tribute stays the same, it's going to increase the battles for it.
Oh, that's a very good point. I think that's probably of all the battlegrounds that the movement speed probably helps the Cursed Hollow the most. 100% correct there. We just some changes, burnt snowballing. I can see that. I still feel like Cursed Hollow has a little too much snowballing going on. You get that first set of them, and I feel like you're just way too much in the lead at that point.
Yeah, they definitely need to cut the curse time down. I don't think it should be as long as it is because when you get that first curse, you're definitely pushing almost all the way to the palace.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I still think they should keep the health of the turrets the same, but keep the same amount of time and stop them obviously from firing. But when you cut it in half, it's just too much going on for that at that point.
I almost wonder if I like the idea of the amount of time like going down as the game goes on. Mm-hmm. So then you're kind of, if you're ahead, you're forced into a decision of like, do I take advantage of where I have and push without it, or do I try and play it safe and still go for it and try and get the curse, even though it's not going to last as long, so it didn't mean as much as before? And if you're behind, you'd say, okay, well, we need to put increased emphasis on getting this because they're not going to, because they're ahead and they're going to try. Like, I don't know. Weird idea, like super weird, and I've never seen something like that, but I don't know.
I think from a technical perspective, it might work. I think from a philosophy standpoint, though, I don't know if they're going to want a map where the stakes go down instead of up the longer you're in the game. I think it's just sort of a general feel to it. I'm not sure if they're going to want any like everything, especially with the Haunted Mines changes, seem to be all about like, okay, the stakes are getting raised, the stakes are getting raised as you go further and further. I think they may, even though I think it's probably the right move. But I don't know if from a philosophy perspective if they'd go for that.
That makes sense.
I wonder if they should do something similar to what they do on Blackheart Bay, where once you get the first curse, 3 of them, if the next time it takes you 4. So it makes it harder to get it, and it kind of stops the snowballing just like on Blackheart.
I was just
I like that.
thinking of that.
I think that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Because if you look at it, Blackheart Bay is a very similar bonus. It helps to take down.
Yeah,
turrets
why
and
do
towers.
they do that there and they don't do that anywhere else? That's kind of weird.
Well, pirates get greedier and greedier as the match goes on.
Case in point.
Yeah. Lord Trump's gameplay, obviously.
Obviously.
Woohoo!
And kind of
Finally.
the final general change that we saw was a call down mule duration reduced from 90 seconds to 60 seconds. I never use call down mule. Did any of you guys ever use it or see it used?
I've only seen it used like in streams, like sometimes, not very
Rarely.
often though.
Rarely seen it.
Because
Yeah.
I've been playing decent amount of Gazo lately, and he's really good to take down the opponent's turrets. I almost want to see a hero who's kind of the reverse, and he plays very defensively, and all he does is repair and fix. Almost probably like a gnome. Some gnome who just like fixes the turrets.
Mechatork.
Mechatork?
Calling it now. Mechatork.
Mechatork would be pretty cool, and
He'd be a really good utility.
Yeah, and maybe he even adds like certain things to turrets to make them stronger.
Oh.
That would actually be completely new gameplay too, and because of the team leveling, you could do that because he doesn't have to be right there in the middle of the lane.
Santar's
I'm submitting
fantasizing.
Adam's resume as new creative designer for Blizzard.
Yeah.
I'm submitting it for him.
On behalf of the casual player, can we just get maybe an explanation of what Call Down Mule is?
So Call
Because
Down
honestly,
Mule,
I wasn't even sure what they were talking about here.
Call Down Mule is very much like in StarCraft 2. So if you ever played StarCraft 2 as Terran, you call down a mule to assist you. And most of the time in StarCraft 2, you'd use it to gain crystals. In this, it actually heals your turrets.
Okay.
So it's basically it's a support-ish role. I think a couple non-supports get it. But rather than healing your heroes, you're healing your turrets and your walls. So it's actually getting oddly enough, I don't feel like it's used enough, but its duration is being reduced, which means it's actually getting a debuff. It's kind of getting a nerf, which is interesting because I've never really seen it used at all.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try it out. Maybe it's actually maybe it's only like top tier players are doing it, and maybe that's why,
New meta.
Yeah,
New meta.
That's
We're
how you
starting
beat
it right
Idra.
now.
That's how you beat Idra. Man, I didn't
That's it.
we'll talk about that later. Before we'll talk about like kind of a game story or two from each of us because it was pretty interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the champions. We're gonna skip Arthas for now. We did have a question about Arthas, so we'll actually revisit that later on in the show. We will talk about the Barbarian. Any of you guys kind of into the Barbarian, playing a bunch of the Barbarian lately? Or even before?
I played her a bit before the wipe and really didn't enjoy her very much, to be perfectly honest. I sort of lean towards sort of the beefier, tankier warriors when I like to play it. She really seemed a little squishy and really didn't do enough damage to warrant that squishiness. But it seems like they've completely overhauled her in terms of the patch. She seemed to have gotten the most attention of anyone.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of changes being done to her, and without a lot of experience playing her, it looked like a lot of nerfs to me. Or if I'm just like crazy.
It's a mixed bag on that one. It's kind of split between. A lot more people are playing her, but kind of off of what David said, I don't think her damage is kind of equal to her durability. So it's still going to take a lot of tinkering on that one.
Okay, Diablo. Let's take a kind of look at Diablo real quick. Just a couple changes. I think his was a general. What would you consider him? Do you think it increased, nerf, buff, kind of a mixed bag? What do you think, Josh?
I haven't played Diablo before, but with what they did with the Soul Stones, that seemed to help there. Even though, before it had a stack, you could stack up to 250, but then if you died, you lost. I forget if you lost a set number or you just lost your Soul Stones, which you get from, I believe, players dying in your area. Mm-hmm. But I believe you keep them once you die, so they can, once you have enough whenever you die with those, I think you kind of have like an instant res. Isn't that how it works with those? Like I said, I barely played Diablo at all, so just from what I've heard of how Diablo's played, that's what you do with Diablo.
Yeah.
I was gonna say pretty much it. Kind of reading through him a little extra right now. Yeah, it definitely seems like they slightly nerfed him because he was definitely getting a lot of stacks of souls if he wasn't dying. So if you were able to go through a match with Diablo and not die, he has abilities where he would get more health for every soul he had, and he would just have crazy amounts of health come late game, like ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, for people who haven't had a chance to play Heroes yet but play Hearthstone, Diablo is the priest deck of this game. Like in the sense that if everything works perfectly, you're pretty much unbeatable. But you needed to really, really keep those Soulstone stacks going. And I think what they've done right now is sort of, raised his floor and lowered his ceiling a little bit. So it's a little bit more reasonable range right now to play on.
And Demon Hunter, David, I know you were playing a lot of Demon Hunter beforehand. What do you think of the changes? Were they needed? Do you wish it went back to the way they were before?
I was a little, I think I said this out on Twitter as well when I first saw the changes. I mean, I never saw, to me, it pretty much looks like a buff for the most part, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it really looks like a buff for the Demon Hunter, and I always thought she had she was pretty good as she was. She's definitely good at putting out damage, and when I'm playing bottom lane, I always like to have a Demon Hunter with me, just so that way especially if I'm playing something that has a lot of stuns or anything like that, just so that I can finish them off. So I'm a little surprised they buffed her, to be honest. I thought she was in a nice place.
They nerfed her cooldown, so it looks kind of to me, I mean, without really playing her, it looks like they just made her a little bit more sustained damage as opposed to burst. Like, she's more damage in her auto attacks, and they kind of made her actual abilities a little bit longer cooldown. So we might see just a little bit difference in how she plays in team fights and stuff. Maybe.
We're still pretty fresh in the patch. So with people like the Demon Hunter who seem to have gotten a lot more changes. We'll see what they think of it, especially once the next patch comes out, if they revert any of these changes. And then there were a bunch of heroes that got very small changes, like ETC, Falstad, Gazlo, Kerrigan, Murden. Do you guys play any of you guys play like a chunk of those champions, or know enough that know how these little changes really affected them?
Only one I see, because I might have a lot of characters, but a lot of the ones they touch I don't have. But Sergeant Hammer.
Woo!
Yeah. The basic attack damage is increased from 50 to 55, which, only 5 by that adds up quick. And then tank mode cast time is decreased from 1 second to 0.5 seconds. So that's going to be able to let you siege up, get in and get out faster. Because that's a nice little attack there, but just like in StarCraft 2, you have to know when to use it. You can't siege in the wrong spot because you will get destroyed. And in this one, with it being such a shorter cast time, I think that gives you more use out of it.
Yes, I like the changes to Sergeant Hammer. I played her a little bit over the last couple of days, and that half a second more that you can get out of it and get moving saves you so many times. Like, you wouldn't think a half a second would matter that much, but it does in this game. It gets you out of a stun, gets you out of a Witch Doctor zombie wall. If you actually have a chance to react.
Yeah, it definitely that's going to be a huge. As someone who plays a lot of Hammer, that's a huge thing for me, because that's usually when I do die, it's because I just can't get out of siege fast enough. For sure. The other thing I see here, I mean, Muradin, I think that Haymaker cooldown being reduced from 70 to 50 seconds was needed, because I think people were definitely moving into the other hero ability, which, if I remember, is a lot more effective. I think a lot of these are probably them, again, seeing their numbers and seeing that a lot more people are choosing certain heroic abilities versus other ones, because it seems like a lot of the changes with at least these sort of like one-off changes per hero involve a lot of hero abilities.
As someone that played Zeratul a lot, I'm really sad that Sarge got tank cooldown lowered. Because anytime I saw one, I would just sit in stealth and follow it around for a bit. And then when that poor tank went prone, I would blow it up really, really quickly.
Now, talking of Zeratul, Xantar, I know you played a lot of him. His basic attack scaling got reduced a little bit, so his basic attacks went down, but the Singularity Bomb almost doubled in damage.
Yeah, Singularity sucked before, and they never cast it. Like the only reason it was remotely useful was because it slowed the other person. The damage was just like laughable, and I never counted on it for damage. But moving that up and moving the basic attack damage down makes sense to me. It places a little bit more value on Singularity Bomb, and he was really, really too strong before. Like, if I was on a game where I was playing really, really well and got a decent level advantage, like, I would two-shot people sometimes. Like, if I got a good crit and I ulted them. So, this makes sense. This makes sense for sure. He's still very bursty and still very, like, prototypical assassin by definition. But this was needed for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, one hero who I thought needed a lot of changes was Tyrael. I felt like he needed to either maybe get a little bit of a rework, maybe a little bit of a buff, because I have a hard time really playing him, and I really want to play him. I don't think he fits a defined role all that well. I know, David, we were talking about it at one point, where you almost don't know what to do with him when you play him. So the fact that he kind of had like an equal nerf buff, like they made a few things better, a few things worse. I don't think it's enough for him. And you guys kind of agree or have any thoughts on Tyrael?
I pretty much fully agree with that statement. He doesn't have a perfectly fit defined role. But one thing is, this is just me personally, I don't understand the decrease on the shield. Like, I personally don't think it did a ton as it was, and now you've decreased it. So what are we trying to do? Kill his survivability even more? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, because I always felt like he didn't have enough survivability if he was going to be a tank, but he has a bunch of decent movement speed, movement abilities, throwing his sword and getting to it.
I don't know. I don't think they mean him to be a tank. Like, when I've played him, he doesn't... I mean, like, I can get why in some ways he should be a tank, but he didn't feel like a tank. Like, he didn't feel like a champ that a hero that should be just like jump in and take damage and do no damage. Like, he feels like somebody that should be like 75% warrior and 25% tank. If that makes, like, it's not a great way to put it, but like, he feels like he should be more offense than defense, which might be counterintuitive to the fact of like, hey, if you use your sword E and dash in, like, you're in the middle of everyone. But just how it feels to press that button and make that call to dash in, you're dashing in when you want to mess people up. And it kind of felt weird to be not do as much damage as it kind of felt. I don't know. To me, this kind of brings it more in line to what Tyrael felt like I thought he should do, but I can definitely see like why people think he should be a lot more tank than he is. But like in the spectrum of left side being tank and right side being DPS, like I think he's now closer to where I felt he should be on the spectrum. But I don't know. I can see both sides.
I mean, in this case, it kind of feels like someone sat Tyrael down at the desk, said, you're not working out in this tank role, so we're just gonna make you,
let's try you in this
basically.
Department and see.
Yeah,
how it
works. Don't worry, it's a lateral move, right? Kind of. So I mean, it does, especially from what they've done. I mean, I think they're treating the shielding and sort of his tanky abilities less as tank abilities and more kind of defensive cooldowns kind of thing. Like basically just keep you alive type of abilities. Yeah. It does really seem like they're having some struggles finding their way with the warriors. I think that we've talked about Barbarian. We're going to be talking about Arthas. We're talking about Tyrael now. I mean, I'll be honest. The only two I really feel comfortable ever playing are Muradin and Stitches. Those two guys know what they are, right. And and I'm comfortable with what they are. I think everything else they haven't really found a spot for all of them.
And so here's my problem. I agree with you, actually, Xantar, completely, that maybe he should be more DPS, but I feel like he doesn't do anywhere near the DPS he should if he's going to be losing these tanky qualities. two of the big bonuses that he got, though, is his explosive damage increased from, basically for 15 plus another 3 per level increase. And the radius increased as well. So it's almost like they want you to die as Tyrael. They want you to dump in, die, and then explode. It's like they're like, we're going to make this explosion so awesome that you want to die every time you start a fight. Like, is that really going to be his role? The one that jumps in and dies? He's like the sacrificial lamb.
He's like, don't worry, guys. Buddy. I got this. Hold my beer. I'm going in.
I'm just read in the patch notes that if you got to level 40 before this wipe, you get a exclusive lanyard. What is this? I didn't know this was happening. What?
How exclusive do you think they are?
I don't know, but I want one. Ah. Oh.
Now you got something to shoot for, Sam.
Yeah. God. Okay. Well, it looks like I'll be getting level 40 this time around, just in case.
So, David, you did say that you feel comfortable with Stitches, right? What do you think of the changes to him?
Well, I mean, you know what? I felt he was a little OP. So, I mean, to be honest, it probably could have been nerfed even more a little bit. But in terms of the actually, it pretty much looks like a buff, doesn't it, for Putrid Bile?
That's what I was going to say.
Well, I'm kind of happy. Again, I think this is just one of these cases where everyone was choosing the other talent. I actually choose Putrid Bile because I kind of like the disgustingness of it, and it's kind of fun. And plus, I always like anything that helps me run away. Always cheers me up. So this was one I was picking anyway. So I'm 100% okay with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to be honest, I'm a little surprised that he didn't get nerfed a little bit because I think he's pretty strong. Mm-hmm. But this is my kind of guy. I like Stitches. He's very tanky. He can take the damage. It feels like his ability makes sense, which is pull someone to you. Again, we're talking about Tyrael. It's like, okay, I'm going to throw my sword and then jump in the middle of the 4 guys. It's like, well, great, Leroy, but. It's
nobody knew you were going to do that.
Soundbite whenever you do that.
Yeah.
Now, for me, Nova is one that I played a lot, and the changes to her were, minimal. Hollow Decoy getting increased radius of sight, that's helpful because you can throw her out and you can see a little further. The wounding shot damage amplification being reduced. Honestly, very few times would I take wounding shot as a talent. I can't think of what's in that same level at this point, but I know that I chose another option because that's what I preferred. I didn't really use wounding shot all too often. Ben, any other changes that you kind of want to point out from kind of the watching perspective?
Something that I really wanted to see was the Tychus changes with Odin, but not enough people have played him, so I haven't really been able to kind of take notes on it and see how it's really played out. Because just by looking at from a numbers perspective, it looks very significant. Mm-hmm. So
I'll put it on my to-do list.
Yeah. Thank you, please, and let me watch when you do that.
All right. I'll make sure I report back and make it clear.
Okay, good.
So that Odin was kind of weak. I used to pick it and then it was just too weak to use.
Yeah, a huge change though.
Yeah, big change. It went basically his 2 abilities went from a basic 20 damage to 70, and I felt like the Odin should have been more powerful. Mm-hmm. Just from like a lore perspective, obviously,
I was never scared of it. Like when I went up against someone, I was like never worried when that thing came up. I'm like, okay, he's got extra health. He's going to take longer to kill, but I was never like, I should probably leave right now. Like that was never really a big concern for me. So I think this will definitely make it feel more like an ultimate ability.
Yeah.
See, I always felt that a little bit because I play Surgeon Hammer so much. So it was kind of like that old episode of Knight Rider where he goes up against the giant tractor trailer instead of the Camaro or the Trans Am or whatever. I always felt like I'm just a little too weak to deal with this, and now I'm going to be even more scared of it.
And I think the only hero that had kind of a few changes that we didn't hit too much was Tyrande. Our Sentinel reveal duration was reduced, so that's a little bit of a debuff, but not too crazy. Her Lunar Flare, the stun that she has, stuns people a little less, and Shadow Stalk, which I have never used, the one that makes everybody on your team cloaked her heroic ability, they reduced the cooldown, and probably because people weren't taking it, they were taking Starfall instead. So they're trying, kind of like you said with Stitches, they're kind of trying to buff one a little bit to make it more appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I overall, I think a lot of these heroes, they just got, some basic tweaks, except for, like we said, the Barbarian, not the Barbarian, the Barbarian, who got a huge amount of changes, and Diablo got a little bit, and Demon Hunter. Any final thoughts about any of the hero changes, David?
No, I mean, I think it's all pretty solid. There's nothing. As said, I think they've reworked Demon Hunter a little bit. As I said, Diablo. I think they've balanced him a little bit. Really, the big ones, I think, are Arthas, which we're going to talk about, and I think Barbarian. They're almost making just a brand new hero at this point. I think whatever they thought they were doing the first time around just isn't working.
And Xantar, how about you? Any final thoughts?
They nerfed my Tassadar, and I'm not happy. That's all.
That's all. You can buff Tassadar, don't nerf him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to BlizzCon this year, and I'm just gonna hold a sign that says "Buff Tassadar," and I'll just walk around for 2 days straight holding it.
What's
I'll
funny?
just sit in the Hilton lobby holding it.
No changes to Uther. They already gave him the little nerf bat a little bit. And they didn't want to make any more changes here. Ben, Josh, anything else that you guys want to kind of point out that we might not have talked about?
I'm good.
Yeah, nothing to me. It seems like we covered most of the played characters. Besides, Elite Torn Chieftain got the Mosh Pit cooldown increased from 100% to 120%. And his Rock God damage bonus increased from 40% to 50%. So that's not too bad there. But other than that, I think we did pretty good there.
Yeah, we'll be talking about champions as it goes on. So heroes as it goes on, and we'll probably kind of revert back to the patch notes and say, hey, look, they changed us back. One real cool thing in the shop that we saw as part of the patch are these bundle packs that are out there. I think these are awesome. I think, there's some people in the comments that are really complaining about it. Like, they're like, oh, $30 to get into a free-to-play game seems like a lot. I'm like, now if you, add that up. Anybody that's kind of looked at the pricing, like, Rainbow Unicorn alone costs $20, and you get that part of the starter bundle. That's only $30.
Which is normally like $100 worth of content. If you went and bought it separately, it's like $90-some.
I just never understood how people can complain when they're giving people a deal.
I can never understand why people are complaining about it in the first place, because it's an option. You don't have to go buy anything. You can just keep playing the game, earn in-game gold, and use it to buy characters. Yes, you won't be able to buy the mounts or skins, but overall you have this great game. You'll be getting this great game for free. You can't really complain. Don't buy anything if you don't want to. Plain and simple.
So we'll go over each bundle kind of really quick. Xantar, why don't you kind of let everyone know kind of what's in the starter bundle?
I totally closed it because I was looking at something else in the bundles. And you'll laugh when I tell you what it is when we get to it. So I'll have to divert.
Do you want me to pass this bundle on to somebody else?
I might.
Okay.
Pass the bundle.
Pass.
All right.
Ben, we're going to toss the starter bundle over to you.
All right. So with the starter bundle, we're looking at $29.95. You get Elite Torn Chieftain, Stitches, Nova, Gazlo, Sergeant Hammer, Malfurion, all as your champion choices. And then as far as skins go, you get the Glam Metal ETC, and then the Roller Derby Nova, and then you get a mount as well, which is the Rainbow Unicorn.
The one thing about this bundle that I would have expected is for them to have 2 from every franchise. And they don't have any Diablo heroes here.
Nope.
So I would have expected them to maybe cut off, maybe ETC or Stitches, at least throw one Diablo person in there. I think that would be a good change to this bundle. Not that I'm complaining; it's a great bundle, but I think
It's very WoW heavy.
It's WoW heavy, and as a starter bundle, it would be cool to get at least one Diablo person in there.
Well, I think it's a case. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case where they're also just trying to get one of each type, right? I mean, you got a couple of warriors, you got one assassin, a couple of specialists, and a support. So I think to them, like, if you really want like a specific bundle, that's what the other ones are for. But I think this is your I don't really care about the lore. I just I play MOBAs bundle.
Well, and the other thing too is looking at this now, because now I have it up because I'm bad. It's like I've never podcasted before. No champion in any bundle repeats.
Right.
And you can't have a Diablo bundle if you take any of those guys out and put them in the starter bundle, which will take out from some potential earnings. Because to put in the tech where you have flex bundles that change in price if you already own some of the existing heroes, that's tech I'm sure that will come as the champion pool gets big. But right now is kind of tough to introduce stuff that can do that. So I can see why they've only got the 3 champions or heroes rather from Diablo. So if they took even one out to put in the starter bundle, then your Diablo bundle is 2. Which then why do you even have it?
Yep.
Well, we're missing though from this. They still could have added the barbarian, even though I was gonna say Vala for a second, but I was like, they have the whole Diablo pre-order thing, blah blah blah. But we still have the barbarian that's missing from this entirely.
Yeah.
Well, that Diablo thing is I believe I thought I read it ended. You had to register your game before March 31st.
Yeah, because you're already getting Vala for free, kind of, and you need to have some Diablo ones in the game. David, why don't you kind of chit chat a little about the Warcraft bundle? Let people know what's part of it.
Sure. It gives you the option to mount up with the mighty warriors of Azeroth, which basically includes Falstad, Arthas, Uther, and you get the Warhorse mount. Now, they're saying it includes the Lich Prince Arthas skin. I think they just mean the Prince Arthas skin, because I don't think he's a Lich at that point.
The Lich Prince of Bel-Air.
The Lich Prince, yeah. It's like when he was it's like Muppet Babies. It's when he was just the Lich
Well,
Prince.
this is a story all about...
That's right, yeah. Lich Prince, yeah. And you get the Lumberjack Canadian Uther skin, so I'm very pleased with that. Yes, that's our one Canadian hero is...
Lumberjack Uther.
Lumberjack
He's running around hitting people with a hammer going, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. That's the voice acting. That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Josh, what actually does belong in the Diablo bundle?
In the Diablo bundle, which is regularly $47.45, but now it's $18.95 US dollars. I don't know the conversion rate there. You get the Witch Doctor. You get Tyrael, which has the demonic skin for him, which looks incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's his best.
Sweet skin.
That's one of the best skins out there.
Yeah, that looks so insanely awesome. And then you get Diablo, of course, which includes his Lurk Oblo skin, which makes him look like a giant Murloc.
And are we safe to throw the last one over to you, to Xantar?
I'm just going to facepalm it myself. So in the StarCraft bundle, we have Kerrigan, Tassadar, Tychus, including the infested Tychus skin, and the actually really, really awesome and I think underrated Cyberwolf mount, which looks really, really cool. Which I didn't realize was a StarCraft thing, but I guess.
Almost like a Warhound, kind of?
I guess.
I don't know.
It kind of seems like an odd fit, but whatever.
They
I think it's
threw
just
it in there.
the only robotic, modern-looking one, right?
Yeah.
It's the Nexus, that's why. I mean,
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Because Nexus.
Yeah.
we can always throw back to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I like these bundles. They are pretty awesome. They help. They really, with the number of champions you have, if you were to purchase these bundles, you end up with more than half, right? Because you have 6, 9. Math is hard. 15. So you have 15 out of 27 heroes that have been released just by picking up roughly $100 worth of bundles. Which really isn't too bad in terms of what you're actually getting, because you're getting a bunch of skins and 3 out of the 4 mounts as well.
Yeah, I gotta do the math and see what those skins would cost if you bought them each, because if you think you're going to get the majority of them, it might just be better just to save yourself trouble and buy all the bundles right off the get-go.
Well, I know for the Diablo bundle, it's only $18.95. Teriel's demonic skin is like $12.50.
Yeah. I mean,
So for $6 more, you get 2 other characters and the skin, the Lurkoblo skin, which is probably like $10.
yeah, so
That's the one mount. That's the one bundle though that doesn't include a mount, though, right?
True.
Right, but it has 2 skins. It's funny. The Warcraft bundle has 2 skins and a mount. Diablo bundle has 2 skins, and then StarCraft has 1 skin and a mount. If you just take the average as like $10 per skin, which is I'd say the average, you have $90 worth of skins right there.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's like you're buying the skins.
If you think you're gonna buy a decent number of those skins, you may as just well buy the associated bundles right from the get-go and save yourself the time of having to unlock the champions.
And save the gold for later, for when other champions get released, and you can get them like the first day.
Yeah, like I do in other games. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's gonna wrap up the news for this week. We're gonna postpone our Night of Trilogy again. I am sorry, everyone. If you really wanted us to talk about Tyrande for the last 3 weeks, I'll guarantee it this week. We will get to her next week.
You guaranteed it last week.
I know. This is a super
credibility
double dog
loss
guarantee.
There's gonna be. I'm having to rewrite it, Adam, because the lore is changing between when we first did it.
We have new expansions in between now and then.
Yeah, it's just been so much going on with PAX East and now the patch notes. I mean, it's hard to not go over patch notes because Tyrande is going to be more or less the same.
Yeah, she's always going to be there.
She'll be worth the wait.
Yes. She's our. Are you like
she's a night elf.
comparing her to like a booty call, Adam?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, she'll be there when we call her.
She is a lady of the night.
That's it.
Zing.
Oh man. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of move on into our questions.
Questions.
Okay, so this week we got a question from someone who we actually don't know. Like, it was great. I know it's we're supposed to be like, yeah, we get questions all the time, but normally it's questions from friends of the show. This guy, I want to thank him for writing in. Basically, it's, hey guys, my name is Cody from Texas. My question is, why does everyone hate on the Lich King? I'm not in the alpha personally, but I do watch a ton of streams online, and of course I listen to you guys every week. It seems that no one ever chooses him and always talks about how bad he is in game. Is this just because of his talents are not good, or is he just not fun to play? He wants to hear our thoughts, and he wants us to keep up the great podcast. First off, I want to thank him for listening every week. We love having him listen. We love people who write in too. So everybody, remember, you can write in, send your questions to show at Heroes of the Nexus. Ben, I know you have something you've been dying to say about this ever since I brought it up to you. So I'll let you have the floor first.
All right. So again, towards Cody, thank you. As far as Arthas is concerned, okay, when we think about Arthas, we're thinking about this massively epic character that we've known for a very long time. All right, so there needs to be justice as far as what he's capable of. That's not the case right now. His damage does not match his durability, and the damage of his spells doesn't really put him in a fight long enough to do anything. He can go up to a weaker character and someone who really doesn't do almost any damage at all and start trading blows with him back and forth, and that other character is going to end up dwindling him down even more. So his whole kit, while his spells are okay, the stats don't line up, and therefore whether or not he needs to be a full-on tank or a full-on warrior, he's kind of a mixed bag in a similar light of Tyrael. It just doesn't match right now, and there's going to be a lot of changes going forward. They made changes to him with the recent patch. More people are now playing him, but he's still not where he needs to be.
Yep. I totally agree. I played Arthas a lot before the change. I had fun with him, but he is not as epic and the feeling you would think Arthas should be in this game. He wasn't that.
Give me Defile a Riot. I don't know. He looks like Arthas, but he doesn't feel like Arthas. He doesn't feel like he did when we fought him. And it's boring to play the guy to me. Like, I just feel like you're just going around slow, walking up to a guy, swing for an auto attack. His abilities just look like the same swing. Occasionally, you get an ultimate ability that sends in a dragon for like 2 seconds, and you swing your sword. Like, I don't know. It's not flashy enough. It's not. I don't know. It's just not cool. He's lacking the cool factor. I feel a lot of other heroes have.
We need a death coil.
Yeah, I want Death Coil. I want Defile. I want some like Valkyr stuff. I want some like things that I saw when I killed the dude.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is that when I think Lich King, I'm thinking like Master of the Scourge, Undead Lord, all this stuff, and like so many of his abilities are like freeze someone, or it's like just like shoot frost, and it's like that's to me he's not him. I'm thinking like the one that sort of gets there a little bit is when you're raising the ghouls. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but there's a couple. I mean,
Ghost
the things that are wrong with them. I mean, one, you feel like you're playing at a different speed than everybody else. Like, and you're not obviously, but it just feels like it. Your auto attacks look
super
just
slow.
clumsy. Yeah, your auto attack looks like really kind of goofy and clumsy. And the other thing too, again, that's just the abilities aren't very inspiring. It's just and I think this is a problem where it's such a big lore character, and this is a lesson for all the people who are crying to have Deathwing in the game and things like that. Is that you got to be able to live up to that, and it's tough when you're just sitting there and you can't move. I think one of his other problems is that you don't really have an ability to either make up a lot of distance fast or pull them towards you. So something like Diablo's Charge or Stitch's Chain, you don't have anything like that, so you're just kind of lumbering into battle. You're maybe hopefully hitting them with a slow, and then you're just kind of hacking away, and it's just he's not a lot of fun. He's not a very dynamic hero.
What it feels like is you have the Arthas in Halls of Reflection where you're walking after people slowly, and they keep running, and you're not getting.
I have
Arthas.
never heard a better, more well put comparison in my life about anything ever.
That's exactly it.
It is on
Oh my god.
But in honesty, though, like yes, I feel that way, but
It's true.
My big thing is I don't think it's just a problem with Arthas. It's a problem with the warrior type. You have Arthas. He doesn't have, like you said, a gap closer. Stitches can pull in. I feel like he kind of is in a good spot. Tyrael, I have a problem with him. He feels slow in his with his auto attacks. Murden
Barbarian's
okay.
got her jump. Like, at least that
She's
kind
got a
of
jump.
feels like
Yeah.
something.
So, you have like half the warriors have this very defined like way of getting into combat or pulling into combat, and others don't. And if you don't have that as a melee character, you really don't have much to go on.
You're walking up and playing baseball.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You need
It
to
feels more like T-ball.
And I think they thought freezing an enemy and then getting up to them was kind of equal to, say, a charge or a pull-in, but it just isn't fun and engaging gameplay to freeze and then slowly make your way to them. I think that's one of the problems for me.
You just wait right there. I'm going to be over there in 2 seconds, and I'm going to start swinging my sword, mister.
Just you wait.
I almost feel like we have to change. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, how insane is it that the Death Knight doesn't have like a Gorfiend's Grasp type ability?
Yeah,
like,
why doesn't he have...
all of them? They should be able to pull someone in.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have Death Grip to pull you towards you, or like a Death Gate to help teleport somewhere. I mean, yeah, Death Gates in the game had a summon time, but I mean, this is a different game we're talking about, so you should be able to have something to pull enemies or get closer to enemies when you need to, instead of freezing, hopefully catching them in place when you freeze them.
I guess that also kind of raises the question. So if Arthas is this way, okay, he was the original, kind of the biggest Death Knight that we knew. So what, are we going to see a Baron Rivendare? I mean, that's going to have these other abilities kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Here's the
We
thing,
could,
though.
and I think if the abilities can be made dynamic enough and different enough, I think you should. Well, hell, why not? Like,
Yeah.
make a Terran Gorfiend, make a Baron Rivendare. Like, if you can make them different from each other, awesome, because this game needs 100 heroes. Like, it needs it.
Yeah.
They need to get there.
Yeah.
especially if this game is going to be taken seriously in the esports scene.
So
But
does
it just needs something cool besides its ultimate. Like, your ultimate, of course, is going to be cool because you get to use it once every 2 minutes, so it doesn't need to be balanced. It just needs to be balanced with time. But like, you need to have a signature ability that isn't your ultimate. Everyone has one, and the ones that don't suck.
Now, would you say taking something like Howling Blast and throwing it away and throwing Death Grip in there, does that fix Arthas?
I wouldn't say that would fix them completely, but it would help with closing the gap between you and the enemy, since he is.
It'd feel more
slow.
epic to play him. Like, if I grabbed somebody and then like
Pull- yeah.
pulled them in as they were trying to get away, and then like killed them as Arthas, like that would feel fun. That would feel cool. I would yell at my computer screen as I was on stream if I did that. Like,
They should
it
have
would feel awesome.
They should have an ability like monologue for Arthas, where it just freezes you in place and you don't take damage, but it gives you time to like walk up to you and he just
Listen, my
explains his
son.
plan.
The woods of Lordaeron whisper the name.
You would have made the same decisions as me.
That's too funny. But in all, like we said, a little bit more of a rework is due for Arthas to really get that epic Arthas feel to it.
Yes.
We want that. I've tried him a bunch today, and I like the AoE ability that he has, especially when you buff it a little bit with talents. I think they definitely have more work ahead of them if they want Arthas to feel like the Lich King and not just some, Death Knight that you kill on the way to Arthas and Icecrown Citadel.
Yeah. I mean, should we go over what they changed, just so people get a general idea who haven't checked it yet?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone want to go ahead or what?
Oh, I thought that was you saying you wanted to talk
volunteered.
about
I can do it. I can do it. Well, Arthas, they changed a few things. They I would say to me, kind of try to buff him more to make him stronger, or at least do better attacks. His basic attack damage increased from 55 plus 5 per level to 59 to plus 6 per level. His frost strike damage increased from 60, 11 per level to 80, which is 15 per level, which adds up pretty fast, but you gotta be kind of closer for that attack. Frostmore Hungers, his basic attack damage bonus from 20% up to 40%, and the duration was increased from 4 to 6. And his Rune Tap, which was the ability to help heal him when he did attacks, now requires 3 stacks for an 8% heal rather than 5 stacks for a 10% heal. So you don't get as much heal from whenever it procs, but you get more over time.
Yeah, so basically it's more over time. And I take that every time I play him because by the time you get into combat, people have already attacked you a lot, and you need a little bit of healing.
Yeah.
I think these are a good start, and this gets Arthas into a little more fun, a little in terms of damage wise, but you're missing that dynamic gameplay that you need with each hero.
Yes.
So what you're saying, Adam, is that we've given Tyrael a lateral move, but Arthas is on a performance plan.
Yes. Yes.
I think we have a show title right there: the Arthas Performance Plan.
Yes, love it.
Documented coaching.
That's right. Imagine, wouldn't that be an awesome coaching session? You're sitting down across from Arthas. Wow.
You're
You're just not cutting it, big guy.
What?
Okay, I think that will do it for our episode this week. I want to thank the whole crew for coming on. Why don't Ben? Why don't you kind of give everybody a rundown of how to get a hold of everybody in terms of like Twitter, and stuff like that.
So you want me to do all of you?
Yes, you're in charge of all the Twitter ones.
Oh man, this is a lot of pressure.
Hey.
All right, so we're gonna go backwards. For anybody who wants to get a hold of our excellent host, Mr. Adam Eastwood, you can get a hold of him at Twitter at Geek of Random. Mr. David over there, the lore lover, you can get a hold of him at Berlon CTR. That's 2 A's. I'm gonna butcher Josh's so bad. You can get a hold of Josh at Pack1 AIE. It's 2 K's.
You got it right. You said it right.
Xantar over here at the Xantar with an X. And you get a hold of myself at Stacks and Packs, minus the C's and Stacks and Packs.
And Josh, where other than are you doing anything with your Lifestyle Geek podcast lately? Anything new?
Unfortunately, not. The other guys has been really busy, so we're trying to cut it down to we might start doing it once a month. Mm-hmm. You can follow us on Twitter when we do stuff. It's at lifestyle_geek. But we're probably cutting it down to trying to do once a month. The other co-host is extremely busy right now, so we haven't been able to do it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know the feel. My other podcast is kind of hit the same kind of wall for a little bit.
Yeah.
David Xantar, any big news for either of you two? That anything going on? Anything fun?
Streaming lots, streaming all the time, streaming after this, streaming all day not all day every day, but I'm streaming a lot more often. I'm trying to stream at least every other day. Usually at nighttime on days off, I stream way too long. On Monday night, regrettable choices were made. A lot of beverages were consumed, and a 12-hour stream had to be ended at hour 7, very abruptly. So if you want surefire laughs, come check out my Twitch stream. It's just twitch.tv/thexantar.
How are you, David? Anything new?
Nothing new. I mean, unless you want to talk a little bit about some of our post-show bumpers on other podcasts, which I'll let you talk about.
Oh, I was gonna let you.
All right. But I'll let you, so go ahead.
Well, basically, we were on Realm Maintenance. We were putting together 90-second clips every week. You were on CTR, or after CTR, I should say, and during Realm Maintenance this past week. We're gonna get another one done tonight. It's for the kind of the new players, as well as we'll hit some other things later on. You can find us as a podcast on Twitter at the Nexus Podcast. For those of you listening, come join us live at twitch.tv/Heroes of the Nexus. Record pretty much every Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. If you are in the alpha, hit /join the Nexus, and you can actually join us in game and talk in a little private chat room. It's pretty cool. You'll automatically join it every time you log in. If you're looking for people to play, hopefully we can get more people into that chat room. Other than that, come on over to our website, heroesofthenexus.com, and that's pretty much it, guys. We're signing out, and have yourselves a great weekend. Thank you again.
Night, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
And stop the recording.
Stopped.
Okay.
Hey, chat room.
That was an active chat room tonight.
I know.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't see all of it because it didn't load for me, so I apologize, chat.
You're
You're
fired.
dissing
Everybody
me the
was
whole
probably
time,
yelling at me with pitchforks to shut my damn mouth.
Yeah. It's funny when you guys, oh, that's a show title. I was like, I already had one in my head, was the fresh Lich of Bel Air.
Ooh, that is good.
Oh, yeah. Now
is
you're going to have
good.
to choose. You're going to have to sit on that.
I know.
I think
That's
Fresh Lich is good.
The fresh
Yeah.
Lich.
I bow to Xantar.
That's two. I think that's two titles that
Yeah.
were me.
Yeah, you have the...
At least that were like really directly me.
Yeah, I swear, if we ever have a T-shirt made for the show, like for BlizzCon or something, the saying on the back will be "Friends who game together, play together."
Yeah.
That's gonna be that's like our
And mine
quote.
on the back just like has to identify me as the Lich King of Bel Air.
The Lich King of Bel Air. We'll do hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, I can't believe some of the shit I say is just.
Man, we're getting close to episode number 25. I'm gonna have to start listening through the old episodes and put together a little clip. I feel like I should do that.
I need to get this Twitch thing. Like, I don't know why the hell my Twitch wasn't working. Because that makes me really... I'm just like... I thought it was just silent the whole time because nothing was coming up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, no one's... do we have no one here?
No,
And I thought that...
We have 15
have-
people now. We had up to 18 at one point. We're starting to get a little bit of a chat room. I love chat rooms.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay, well... Oh,
That's fun.
now let's see if... Oh, now it's working. Now it's
Yay.
working.
So we need
Yay.
everybody in the world to send Xantar $1 a month. And the reason we need this is so that way he doesn't have to work late anymore.
Yeah,
It's way more
seriously.
Yeah.
It sucks so much not being able to come here. Seriously.
Mhm.
It's the absolute worst.
I've been telling everybody kind of behind the scenes, be like, Xantar gets his alpha, and then he ditches us.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
I cry myself to sleep every night.
Yeah.
That's it.
I swear that's not it.
The
No,
alpha
but
and
like
dash.
it's seriously, it's brutal not being able to make it in. Like I have so much fun being here and chatting with everybody. Like it's such a good time.
I know, we went like almost an hour and a half, and I knew that was going to happen with the patch, so. But
Oh,
it's
I'm
great.
finally in chat. Hi,
Yeah.
chat. I love you guys.
They can hear you too.
That's it.
Yeah.
Does
in
the chat room have any
30
questions?
seconds after the Twitch delay.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's good. You're going to be throwing everybody off.
Yeah. Oh my
Is
god.
he just reading his own, or is he typing it or reading it? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Is someone typing for him and he's just reading a teleprompter?
It's
Sounds
a
like
temporal.
Did the
it's
voice in
clearly
my
a
head
temporal
change?
flux.
Yeah. Yeah, Canadians, we live in a time vortex.
It's metric.
That's why it's snowing in friggin' April 18th.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I know. It snowed here, too, on Tuesday. I was like, I can't take it anymore. It's like I just lost it. I was like, forget it.
Yeah. We had a little bit of snow at night one night, but that was about it.
Yeah.
What should I stream? Should I stream some Diablo or some League? What do we think?
Who
Heroes?
plays League?
Heroes.
What do you
Sam?
think we're going to say?
I don't have enough time for Heroes
You have
right
to jump
now.
on Heroes, and you have to
It's
play
not less than
Tychus
League.
for Ben. That's like a
No,
rule.
because League I can just dedicate like some ARAMs and a whole bunch of people are on. But Diablo or Heroes, I guess is up to date. I guess that's a good question.
Did everybody listen? Did everybody hear us after Convert to Raid?
I did.
I did.
I heard a funny flub on the morning stream in which they accidentally said our show name instead of a different show name.
Oh,
No.
really? Oh, really?
Oh, that's funny. So,
that's
no,
funny.
yeah, because they're into the Nexus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and
I
and
know
he
that
said Greg's name or something. It was in that
Garrett.
Garrett.
Derek. Yeah. They're like, yeah, Derek, and he's doing the Angry Chicken and what the hell, the Heroes of the Nexus or
Right.
and something. I'm just like,
Well,
free press, man.
That's
I'll
why-
take it,
that's-
Scott.
that's why I grabbed the Nexus, because it was such a easy. It's just like the instance, you know. It's the easiest thing possible in terms of like when you're thinking of Heroes of the Storm, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
So I'm gonna
we're
have
like the
to.
Guess
I'll
Who.
have to bug Scott about that on Twitter because I had to laugh.
At BlizzCon, I was the one I was talking to Dills. I was like, Dills, we have to create a Heroes of the Storm podcast. He's like, okay, I'm in. And then once I got to it to start working on it, he's like, I don't have time. And then of course Garrett's asked him, and then he's like, okay. Like you took my idea, Dills,
would you
and
say-
Garrett, because I talked to you too.
would you say no to Garrett if he asked you to be on podcast, Josh?
If I could stay on here.
But I mean, just in general.
You got.
Just in general.
This is a
This
loyalty
is not how
test,
this
Josh.
works, man.
No. Like, honestly, if he came up to you and said, "Hey, we're going to do a podcast about duty. Would you like to be on it?"
I would.
Yeah.
Garrett's I'm friends with Garrett, so yeah, I would.
Hey, I'm not like not that I'm not friends with Garrett. I mean, I just don't know him, but he's one of. If I had to pick three, he's the first like podcast host that I listened to because Starcast was my first podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I actually started watching The Instance, and it's him and Scott Johnson are basically why I didn't pick like an online moniker, because I'm like, they go by their real name, I'm going by my real name.
And now, and it's a funny thing because now, like, to kind of be in the in between, like, a lot of people know my name, but I haven't changed,
You haven't
and I've
changed officially?
considered changing. And how would I change? Because a lot of my Twitch and my Twitter and stuff is that, and it's almost just simpler just for me to go by
Yeah.
just one, for the sake of simplicity's sake.
Well, Zan, don't worry, because if you reveal your secret identity, Marvel can just retcon it all back out. So
That's right.
know.
And make a
No one will know.
goddamn better Superman movie than DC does.
That's right.
I've heard that like a ton. We've been talking to, everyone says that. Like, Captain America was a better Superman than Superman was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I
DC
want to though.
DC's smoking crack, man. That company doesn't know what the hell they're doing anymore.
For TV though, they definitely have win on the TV front. Arrow.
Yeah. Arrow's so good.
So
Did you
good.
watch the past
Finally,
weeks?
the first 3 seasons of like, look at how pretty I am, and also let's go fight crime with arrows.
What are you talking about? They're only on season 2.
Yeah.
I know,
Where
but
you
like
been?
for the first ever of that show, it
The
was just
first
such
ever.
first
ever.
such WB bullshit for the first long while. It just drove me crazy.
Oh,
But
that's too funny.
I have heard it got really good. Though apparently Heroes of Shield, the last three or 4 episodes are like
Heroes of Shield.
Heroes of Shield.
Heroes
That's
of
a
Shield.
good-
Oh my God.
That's a good one.
Agents of Shield. Yeah, like apparently the last couple episodes of that have like actually gotten good. So
The one I'm really pumped for is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Don't get me
Amazing.
started on that.
And
just
now-
make
I
a
am
movie
so
of Rocket
pumped.
Raccoon.
You know, I
Yeah,
hate you.
that just looks awesome.
You know why I hate you, David? As soon as
Why?
you said Guardians of the Galaxy, you know what got stuck in my head right now?
Oh god. Yeah.
I
hooked on a
got a
feeling.
feeling. Da, 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 da. You put that down.
God, that movie looks so good. I've been
Yeah,
excited
I hope
about
it
it
does
ever
well.
since they announced it, and that I love the comic book, so I'm so stoked.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to Doctor Strange.
I'm not looking forward to Quicksilver being in 2 movies at
Yeah.
the same time, but being the different person, but the same person, but not allowed to be a mutant in
Avengers.
one movie. And I don't know, I just hate this rights crap.
Goofy. They
So-
need an Alpha Flight movie.
Like, couldn't they
No.
have just not picked Quicksilver to avoid the problem?
No,
It's not as if Marvel's like hurting for IPs.
I know. And why would they
Weird.
do Alpha Flight? You just want the Canadian superheroes?
Yeah, I just want the Canadian superheroes, man. It's like, Sasquatch and all of our like bad stereotypes. Which, if you ever read early Alpha Flight, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm surprised they don't have like a lumberjack in there.
Mm-hmm. I do have Lumberjack Uther right now.
Do you? Okay, that's one more. Did you buy him in the bundle or individually, Adam?
You're gonna have to figure that out yourself.
All right, fine.
I may
Okay,
have
so
bundled.
he's on the list. All right,
I may have bundled.
I'll figure it out one day.
One of the days he's gonna come out and he's gonna be like, Adam, you need to get a life.
You spent $47.62.
Mm.
Josh
Okay.
is like, yeah, whatever.
We're gonna go.
No,
ahead,
I'm just
we're gonna take
I'm
the stream
getting the
down.
files uploaded and stuff. That's all.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take the stream down. I want to thank everybody for, a bunch of people for sticking around to our after
Yeah.
show ranting.
Yes.
We must be semi entertaining after the show if people stick around. So, you guys have a great night. Thanks again, and send us your questions. You can even tweet them to me, and I'll read them off my Twitter. I almost said my
Your
tweeter.
tweeter.
Yeah, I almost said I'll read them off my tweeter. Okay, we're bringing it down. Goodbye.
Hi, everybody. Ooh, good.
Bye.
Bye, friends.
Take it easy.